Well, we got
We are now live
5
streaming on
minutes,
YouTube, just
5 minutes.
FYI.
Let's go, Vanna.
Here.
Just be quiet.
Okay, everybody, thanks for logging in tonight. Just a reminder, if you are not on mute, please go on mute because we get a lot of background feedback from people that may have TVs going, radios, large keg parties, all kinds of things. So to the extent that you can keep stuff down, it would be appreciated. So welcome to the June 2nd, 2020 meeting of the City Council. We are going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to have Chief Weedle lead us in the pledge. So, Chief, if you would start us off.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
And
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Councilman DeGiulio, I think you have some thoughts, remarks, prayer?
I do. Thank you, Your Honor. We are thankful for this day that you have given us, its blessings, its opportunities, and its challenges. May we appreciate and use each day to do what is right for the greater good of all that we diligently serve and represent. We pray for strength and guidance as each day's duties and challenges are embraced. May we be challenged to give our best always, and may we be assured of your presence within and among us. We pray for your continued strength and support during these uncertain and trying times across our city, state, country, and globe. May all those impacted find resolve and look forward to better times. May those no longer with us rest in peace. We also ask that you bless our beloved men and women that are dedicated serving in our armed forces throughout the world for their safe returns and selfless service for which we are forever indebted. Amen.
Thank you, Councilman. At this time, I will call the roll and then ask for your acceptance of the electronic service, and then we'll move to public comment. Taylor will read the emails that we received, and then Joe Cava will read the items that are on the agenda. I do have some announcements in there somewhere, so if the council would indulge me, I can brief you on a couple items that I think you should know about. So first of all, let's call the roll. Councilman Alves.
Present.
Here. Councilman Bezade.
Present.
Councilman Mike Esposito.
Present.
Councilman Levy.
Present.
Councilman Salvatore.
Present.
Councilwoman Stanley. Councilwoman Stanley. I thought I saw her. Okay. Councilman Tabersack.
Here.
Councilman Fox.
Present.
Councilman Priola.
Here.
Councilman DeGiulio.
Here.
Councilman Cavo. Where's Joe? Councilman Cavo.
Present.
Okay. Councilman Rotello.
Here.
Councilman Visconti.
Here.
Councilman Palma.
Here.
Councilman Knapp.
Sure.
Councilman John Esposito. John Esposito. I think he's trying to log in, right? Is that what it looks like? Councilman John Esposito.
I see a jump iPad, I'm not sure.
All right, I don't see him.
Oh,
Okay.
he's on mute.
Is it muted
Oh,
now?
he's coming back.
All right, he's coming back. So he's here, okay, guys. Councilman Farley Santos,
Here.
Councilman Perkins,
Present.
Councilman Shanisi,
Present.
Councilwoman Kabissa,
Here.
and Councilman Malinaro,
Here.
and Councilwoman Stanley is here.
Yes, she just popped in.
She just popped in. So there being 21 present and 0 absence. At this time, let's entertain a motion to accept the electronic service. Anybody have a motion to accept that?
So moved.
Second. Seconded by Mr. Salvatore. Motion was made by Mr. Perkins. All in favor of acceptance of the electronic service signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. The first 30 minutes of each council meeting are reserved for public comment. Any person that wishes to address the council must do so about an item that's specifically on the agenda, and they must be a resident and or taxpayer of the city of Danbury. I believe we have 2 comments in, and I'm going to ask Taylor O'Brien to read the comments into the record. Taylor?
Yes, if anyone could just say if they hear me, I'm going to speak through the mayor's. Give me a thumbs up. Yes, okay. There are 2 comments, and they are both from Linda Ann Schmidt, 13 Moody Drive, Danbury, Connecticut. The first one is on the water rates. I am compelled to write to you regarding the water increase affected by commercial industrial usage decrease in the amount of $500,000. First, I did not have a choice when I bought this house to receive water from the city. Everyone on my street has well water as a source, which is free. The homeowner should not have to foot the $500,000 shortfall for the commercial and industrial sector. Did you not get water for free? What will happen in the fall and next year when COVID-19 returns? A modest projection for an injection is 18 months out. This plan of continued projected increases for the foreseeable future is not a plan at all. For the 521 ad hoc water rate video, this will only get worse. At this rate, just 4 more quarters and you are looking at a $3 million shortfall by the 3rd quarter 2021. Water should be government funded. Where are the conversations with Governor Lamont? Why are we not looking at COVID-19 funding? New York doesn't send a water bill to its citizens. The whole funding structure is not sustainable, period. The reality is companies are planning today to improve their remote worker operations, and there will be an increase in companies that are going green 100% with their employees, saving companies a boatload of revenue. Last, I want to say communication could be more robust in informing the constituents of the proposed increase. There should have been a flyer in our bill in social media, Facebook and Instagram. The reason why no one responded to the increase is because no one reads a newspaper anymore. People go to social media. Okay. The second is on the senior tax freeze, also from Linda Ann Schmidt. Good morning. I am a 62-year-old semi-retired, currently collecting Social Security income with a part-time job. My income is well below the threshold, and I'm not eligible for other public incentive programs. The eligibility requirements are too narrow. I think it's a much-needed program. However, the scope includes retired at 62 and older if they meet the financial threshold. And those are our comments.
Okay, thank you very much, Taylor. Appreciate everybody who participates in that. Just to have some announcements for you before we start the formal start of the meeting. One is a couple of you have inquired about the status of the city budget. In particular, there's been some interest in the education portion of the budget. Dr. Sal and David St. Hilaire, myself, Courtney, his finance person, believe we've worked out a resolution to that. The number, the increase is very close to the board request all in of about, it's close, and David, you may want to opine on this, but it's around $10 million, maybe off 100,000 here or there, but everybody has a copy of the number and is comfortable that they'll be fine in terms of next year. So I want to just let you know where that stands. Yesterday, we had a major scare. So I had to go back and unwind everything, and I got OPM to see how they were wrong, and they restored $2 million to the education budget. So that's one of the reasons why we haven't gone to press yet, but that should be done shortly. Otherwise, everything else is pretty much status quo. As we discussed earlier, we're not making any major changes in the budget. Frankly, there isn't any room to make any major changes with the exception of funding our schools, which is very, very important. So I wanted to let you know that. Secondly, many of you have read about, know about, or seen on social media that there's a protest planned for tomorrow, really to march. Chief Ridenour and myself have been working with the organizers of said march. And so we think we've got it down to a route that makes sense. It'll start at Library Plaza, move to City Hall, down New Street, out to Kennedy Park, to the police station, and then back up to the library. The organizers have made a number of commitments for it to be a peaceable, event, and I believe them. Our only concern is people that may come in from the outside that aren't Danbury people that may try to disrupt that. That's what we've seen in other communities. But certainly exercising your First Amendment rights is really the basis of our government. In fact, our government was founded on the protest movement, if you go back to the Boston Tea Party. So that is something I view very, very important. We think we've got it under control, but I do want to thank the chief and his command staff for doing a lot of planning and prior planning till tomorrow. So let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that things go out peacefully. That's all we really care about. I myself personally will be down there in the beginning, and we'll certainly have other staff members that'll be available throughout the event. And then finally, I wanted to ask Kara, I know I'm putting her on the spot. She's got COVID-19 updates. I know that a lot of you get them, but I just thought it would be important for her to kind of loop us in on anything new that's going on or anything that she feels that we ought to know about. So Kara, without objection from the council, you have the floor to update us.
Hi, Mayor. Thank you very much for the opportunity to update everyone. The only thing that I really want to mention is that our numbers are going down. We're seeing fewer and fewer cases every day, but we're still closely monitoring it because we are expecting to have a little bit of an increase with things slowly opening up. I just want to say thank you for all the businesses for participating and helping facilitate the process to get things open. And they've been really cooperative and working with us to try and meet the state guidelines for reopening. So I appreciate that. And that's pretty much it. We're still continuing to do our contact tracing. So if you get phone calls or you hear of people getting phone calls from the health department, that is us. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Kara? What we got her up here? You can always ask her later. It's okay if you want to wait. Okay. Mr. Taversek, you good, or do you have a question?
I was going to ask, but I usually ask during the reports about the homeless, so I'll save it for the report, okay?
Okay, either way, that's fine. Okay. Finally, we have been crafting a plan to reopen, it's actually not, we're already open at City Hall, but a return to work program that we call it. We are done modifications within the City Hall building and other departments. Those are almost done and completed. We look to reopen or return to work right after the 4th of July, which we think will give us time for a final cleaning of the building. And we've worked out a system, Ginny and Dean Esposito and a bunch of people have worked out a system that I think is pretty, interesting. Basically, I'll give you the rough sketch and then always ask Ginny during department reports. But the way it'll work is that staff, 50% of the staff. Right, so the staff is split right down the middle. So 50% of the staff will come back to their offices. They'll work 4 days in a row. At the conclusion of the 4 days, you'll take the next week and work from home, and the other 50% will come in and work. And you'll rotate that. At the end of the 10 days, if somebody's symptomatic or wants a test or requiring a test, we'll provide them with a test for COVID-19. And we are going to test prior to reopening the building. It's not compulsory, but it is something strongly recommended. So people will have access to testing before they walk in the building. So 50% of the office will work 4 days. That 50% goes and works from home. The other 50% that's been home comes in and works. And then we keep flopping until things become more clear in terms of where we're going and whether or not we see a rebound of the virus. So that's pretty much the plan. We'll be rolling that out and informing our department heads shortly. In fact, they're on tonight, but we'll be having a meeting with them via Zoom to explain that. Kara, our Director of Health, has recommended at least to the next 3 meetings and our land use boards and whatever, we keep them in the Zoom format. We're going to keep small groups to 5 or less. So I don't anticipate any major meetings because, we do have items where require people to watch or participate. And so we'll continue with the current program, at least for the next couple of months, and then make an evaluation in the fall. And lastly, I think Chief Weedle has announced that. Chief, are you comfortable sharing some things, or we prefer not to?
Sure, I'm comfortable, Mayor.
Hey, why don't you tell the team what's up?
Okay, I have put my pension papers in, so I will be retiring from the fire department.
Oh, God.
I am leaving after 39 plus years, and Friday is my last day at headquarters. So it has been a wonderful run, and I appreciate everything the council has done for the fire department and myself. I will be around for a little while because I'll still be helping the city with the emergency management until we get that straightened out. But I will not be the fire chief. Assistant Chief Omasta is now the acting chief. The department is in excellent hands and is doing a fine job. And once again, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to the city of Danbury. It's been the best career anybody could ever want. And I am just proud to say I've been a member of the fire department for almost 40 years. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Yep, been an honor to work with you, Chief. Thank you so much for everything. And we had a lot of laughs. We had a lot of tough times and everything in between. And you've been a true professional all the way through. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Good. Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the minutes. Mr. Perkins, where are you?
I'm right here. So moved.
Is there a second to Mr. Perkins' motion?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Taversek. Any changes, corrections, or deletions to the minutes? Any changes or corrections or deletions to the minutes as presented? Seeing none, then I'll try your minds. All in favor of accepting the minutes, give me those thumbs up. Or you can say aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Okay, the minutes are adopted. Mr. Majority Leader, can we have the consent calendar, please?
Yes, Your Honor. This is the consent calendar, June 2nd, 2020. Item number 1, receive the communication and confirm the appointment of Councilman Warren Levy to serve as a member of the Danbury Fire Pension Board. Item 5, receive the reports and approve the request dated March 19th, 2020 from Danny S. Verbicus, professional engineer, on behalf of Ivan De Oliveira, requesting a time extension for the approval previously granted by the City Council for the installation of a sanitary sewer main to serve the property located at 3 Parker Street, tax assessor's lot number H12036, for a period of 18 months, subject to the city's standard 8 steps and conditions of the original June 5th, 2018 City Council approval. Item 6, receive the reports and approve the request dated March 17th, 2020 from Attorney Neil R. Marcus on behalf of Albert J. Salem, requesting a time extension for the approval previously granted by the City Council for the installation of sanitary sewer and water extensions to serve the property located at Great Plain Road and Great Meadow Road for a period of 18 months, subject to the recommendations and conditions of the original sanitary sewer extension approval letter and meeting all the recommendations and conditions of the water extension approval as approved at the October 2nd, 2018 City Council meeting. Referenced item number 10 of the meeting minutes. Item 7, receive the reports and approve the request dated February 26, 2020 from Robert Patello, Victorian Associates LLC, requesting a time extension for the approval previously granted by the City Council for the installation of a water main extension to serve the properties located at 120 and 128 Osborne Street and 9 and 17A Cleveland Street. Tax assessor lot numbers J12093, J12093-1, J12115, and J12237 for a period of 18 months, subject to the city standard 8 steps and conditions. Item 8, receive the communication and adopt the resolution authorizing Mayor Mark D. Boughton to apply for and accept funds from the Northwest Regional Workforce Investment Board through the State Department of Labor for a youth employment program in an amount not to exceed $84,000 as a pass-through to Danbury Youth Services to oversee and administer the employment programs. Item 9, receive the communication and adopt the resolution authorizing Mayor Mark D. Boughton to apply for and accept funding from the State of Connecticut Department of Transportation's Elderly and Demand Responsive Transportation Program Grant, authorize participation in the program, and whereas a 50% match is required, it will be met through the adopted budget allocation to Hart Transit. Item 10, receive the communication and adopt the resolution authorizing Mayor Mark D. Boughton or Cara Marie Prunty, Acting Director of Health, as his designee, to apply for and accept funding from the State of Connecticut Department of Public Health. This funding, not to exceed $76,058, will be used to reimburse the city for expenses for supplies, services, and overtime of city employees related to COVID-19, with no local match being required. Item 11, receive the communication and adopt the resolution authorizing Mayor Mark D. Boughton or Cara Marie Prunty, Acting Director of Health, as his designee, to apply for and accept funding from the United Way's Emergency Food and Shelter Program. This funding, not to exceed $50,622, will be used for operating expenses at the City of Danbury Homeless Shelter, covering the period January 1, 2020 to May 31, 2021. No local matches required. And lastly, item number 12, receive the communication and adopt the resolution authorizing Mayor Mark D. Boughton or Cara Marie Prunty, Acting Director of Health, as his designee, to apply for and accept funding from the United Way's Emergency Food and Shelter Program, known as the EFSP Phase Cares Grant. This funding, not to exceed $72,173, will be used towards prevention and mitigation of COVID-19 transmission in our community, covering the period January 27th, 2020 to May 31st, 2021, with no local match being required. That, Your Honor, is the consent calendar.
Thank you, Mr. DiGiulio. What's your pleasure, council? Is there a second? Oh, I'm
Second.
sorry. Well, actually, we need a
Yeah.
motion by Mr. Fox.
At this time, I move adoption of the consent calendar as presented.
Second. Seconded by Mr. Perkins. Any changes or deletions or corrections to the consent calendar? If not, then I'll try your minds. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. Mr. Cabo, can we go to item 2, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Honorable members of the City Council, City of Danbury, dear City Council members, I hereby submit for your consideration the approval of a donation of $5,000 from the Ecuadorian Civic Club. The donation will be evenly split in the amount of $2,500 and distributed to the Daily Bread Food Pantry and the Hillside Food Outreach. Thank you for your consideration of this generous donation, which will benefit our community greatly. Sincerely, Mayor Mark D. Boughton.
Thank you, Mr. President. What's your pleasure, council? Councilman Palmer.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I move to accept this generous donation from the Ecuadorian Civic Club in the amount of $5,000 and send the appropriate letter of the thanks for their commitment to our community.
Second. Motion made and seconded by Councilman, I think it was Councilman Salvatore. Any discussion about the donations? Very generous donation. Seeing none, then I'll try your minds in acceptance. Oh, Mr. Tabersack, sorry.
I just want to say, I'm familiar with the Daily Bread pantry and the work that they're doing, and I've seen the lines of people that have gotten help. And just to thank this group and all the other groups that are helping that food pantry. It seems that the citizens of Danbury do have a good heart and are trying to give as much help to people in need of food as possible. So any group like the Ecuadorian group and all, they all should be thanked.
Absolutely, thank you. And since I had to dress up as Joe Exotic and stand on a hood with a guitar to get the donation, we do appreciate it. I think we were asked about close to $60,000 in donations we've raised so far. So good stuff. Thank you, Mr. Tabersack. Any other discussion? Seeing none, then I'll try your minds on the donation. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. Item 3, please.
To Mayor Mark D. Boughton, members of the city council, regarding hand sanitizer donation. Mayor and city council members, I submit the following for your consideration. At the onset of the COVID-19 crisis, Robert Badukian of Badukian Research Incorporated, located on 6 Commerce Drive, Danbury, offered to make and donate hand sanitizer to the city of Danbury. Over a period of 3 weeks, Mr. Badukian produced 90 gallons of hand sanitizer, which was distributed internally to all active city departments that were essential in providing city services during the pandemic. At the current going average retail price for bulk hand sanitizer of approximately 45 cents per fluid ounce, the total value of this generous donation is $5,184 retail. At the time of crisis, it's great to see that there are industrious neighbors willing to stand up and support their community. Sincerely, Timothy P. Nolan, Superintendent of Public Services, Public Works Department, City of Danbury.
Thank you. What's your pleasure, council? Councilwoman Stanley, I think, is trying to get hold of us.
Thank you, Your Honor. Am I on? Okay.
You're on.
I'd like to receive the communication and make a motion, accept the generous donation of approximately 90 gallons of hand sanitizer that we were able to distribute during the onset of the COVID-19 crisis and send a letter of gratitude. I just
Second.
want to say personally, thank you to Badukian Research for recognizing the need and jumping into action during this pandemic to help essential workers in our community stay safe. And kudos to them. Thank you so much.
Second.
Was that John Esposito with a second?
Yes, Your Honor.
I think it was. Yeah, Councilwoman, I couldn't agree more with your statement. They have stepped up to the plate all the time with donations like this. So good job.
A lot of
Go
our
ahead.
local businesses step up, and I think it's awesome.
Any discussion, any other discussion about this donation?
Yeah, Your Honor, if I could, just
Right.
another word of thanks and appreciation to Robert and the folks at Badukian Research. They're great business right here in the 4th Ward, and they do this kind of stuff often enough, and we really appreciate all that they are doing for the community. So just a word of thanks on my part.
Absolutely, Councilman. Any other discussion? Seeing none, then I will try your minds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Or quick thumb up. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. I believe we're on item 4.
4. To Honorable Mayor Mark D. Boughton, members of the city council, subject Bear Mountain Cottage residential license. Dear Mayor and member of the city council, attached to your review and approval is the proposed residential license for the cottage at Bear Mountain Park property. The cottage is a single-family dwelling of approximately 1,200 square feet, and it is the intention to license this facility as a residential according to the terms of the attached agreement. Please place this on the June agenda for action. Should you have any questions or require additional information, please do not hesitate to contact me. Best regards, Sean P. Hanley, Superintendent, Public Buildings Division.
Thank you, Mr. President. What's your pleasure, council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to receive the communication from Sean Hanley, Superintendent of Public Buildings, and motion to approve the license agreement between the City of Danbury and Sean J. McColgan, the Cottage at the Fairmount property for a period of 3 years ending June 30, 2023.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. It was tie there, so who wants the credit for the second? Elmer, you got it. Councilman Palmer with the second. Discussion about the license agreement. Discussion. Seeing none, then I'll try your minds. All in favor of accepting the agreement, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Or put your thumb up. Anybody opposed? Okay, ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. That brings us to item 13.
It's senior
Senior
tax,
tax freeze.
item number 13, senior tax freeze, Code of Ordinances, section 44-53.
Go ahead, Mr. Cowell. Yep.
At this time, I move that we waive the reading of the report as all members have copies and copies are on file for review in the Office of the Legislative Assistant.
The motion's been made, and is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Camissa to waive the reading of the, this is just to waive the reading of the report. So all in favor of that signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The opposed signify by saying nay. Ayes have it. The reading of the report has been waived. We're now back to the main motion. And Mr. Fox.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I move to accept the committee's report and recommendation that the readoption of Code of Ordinances, Section 44-53, formerly Section 18-12.1.1, tax freeze for elderly homeowners, to extend the tax freeze program through the filing of the October 1st, 2020 grant list.
Second.
Boy, okay. I'm trying to think who, you guys are so fast here. It's hard. All right, Joe Cabo, you got the second there. Okay, discussion under this item, discussion on this item.
I have a question.
Yeah, Mr. Sinisi.
Thank you, Your Honor. I know it was mentioned at the ad hoc about the new assessor. When's his start date? Has that been finalized yet?
It has not. He is on active duty for the National Guard responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. So we believe his duty will be end at the end of June, and which is the end of this month, and he'll be able to move on. But I also could see it getting extended another month or so. So as soon as that happens, we'll let you know. We'll have his appointment on the agenda.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Anybody looking for my attention? Okay, John. Sorry.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor.
I'm sorry.
Just for the people that might be watching online and may not have access to the report, direct a question through you to perhaps Mr. St. Hilaire. What is the set mill rate with this program, and how would a senior citizen over the age of 65, what's the process for applying for the program?
Okay, that's good.
Mr. St. Hilaire?
Yes, thank you. The set mill rate will be 27.6 to 7.60. And the process is simply just contact the assessor's office and they'll get right back to you and work with you one-on-one. They help you through the process, remotely, of course, but they contact you pretty quickly and they'll walk you through the process. We've had about 70 new applications this year, but keep in mind those who were qualified last year are automatically qualified this year. So we try to make this as simple as possible this year, to try to be sensitive to the social distancing and everything. So really, it's the people who may be qualified should step up and ask questions, to the assessor's office. We've been reaching out to those, people who we think may be qualified, but it's a big city. So
Sure.
we've been trying to ask people to do that outreach for us. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, just one further, if I may. The application period, if I'm reading this right, is from February 1st to May 15th. Is that correct?
That is correct, but there's a caveat in the application. that applies every year. And it says the exception to that rule is in a medical situation. We certainly are, everybody pretty much qualifies in that period right now. Because they cannot come and make their application in person. There may be a medical situation because of COVID, or somebody they know who has COVID, or et cetera, et cetera. So we've interpreted that pretty broadly to be a lot, to allow for a lot of flexibility in that deadline.
Great. Thank you, Mr. St. Hilaire.
But Mr. Tarasak.
Thanks for the council and having this program, especially at a time of need like today. But I was just wondering, they were saying that there's been outreach. I was wondering, is this published in the newspaper or the local radio and all? Because I think a lot of people don't know about it, as I think Mr. St. Hilaire mentioned. So I was wondering, is this going to be published in, or can it be done so? Because I think really there's a need, but a lot of people don't know what's happening on something like this.
Sure, it's as an ordinance, it's required that we publish it in the paper, but also we're going to do some other kinds of outreach. It'll be up on the website with a link to the application and a whole host of other ways that we can probably reach out to people and let them know it's available.
Okay, because I'm worried people like myself, we're not great on technology, so we got to do something.
Yeah, we'll give it a plug on the radio too, Mr. Terry.
Okay,
That's a good idea. Yep, Mr. Salvatore.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, it looks like this program sunsets. Is there any plan to make it permanent?
Well, I believe and Les is here, but I believe the Connecticut general statutes require you to put in a sunset provision. We would re-up it. We think it's a good plan and it's been popular with our seniors. David doesn't like it because it takes money out of his pocket.
That's a good cause.
But
it puts money back into the seniors' pocket.
That's right. It's good for our seniors. So go ahead, David.
Yeah. The problem in this particular plan is that it actually references a very old year, and we really need to revamp it and update it because it references really 2011. And so what it will do, it will pretty much age out, and I don't mean any offense, but it will phase out on its own because of a couple reasons. That for one, and for the other, because of the indexing with the state, I guess income limits. Now that's a good thing, but the problem is when you have a fixed basis that becomes older and older and older, fewer and fewer people become more qualified. So I think there is a better mechanism that we can use to maybe target or spread the benefit around more. But to try to revamp the program without a thorough analysis is going to disproportionately affect those that need it the most. Because some people get a benefit of $20 on it, some people get a benefit of $1,500 on it, and it's all over the place. So, and there may be a better way to do that. And it really, all the other programs we have, the way this works, and the reason why it's administratively difficult to do is because we have to apply all the other credits first before this one kicks in. And that each year becomes a little bit more cumbersome.
Thank you.
Good point, Mr. Salvatore. I think this will definitely something that's been popular. So we want to keep
it's a good program.
Yeah. Further conversation about this item. Okay, seeing none, I will call for the vote. Please give me your thumbs up. Oh, Ben, did you want the floor, Ben?
I think you just bring thumbs up.
Okay. All right, thumbs up or aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passes unanimously. Item 14, report and ordinance water rates, Mr. President.
Water rates, Code of Ordinance, Section 48-70, 48-77. Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. President.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I move that we waive the reading of the report as all members have copies and copies are available for review in the Office of the Legislative Assistant.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Councilman Rotello. Discussion related to the water rates. Mr. Sinisi.
Thank you,
Do you
Your
want to take
Honor.
a motion on that first?
Go ahead.
Oh, I thought,
This
you're
is to
right.
waive the report.
Yeah, okay. All favor, that was a motion to waive the report?
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, all in favor of waiving the report signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed signify by saying nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. All right, so at this time, we'll now enter the main motion and
Yes,
that
Your
would
Honor.
be Mr. DiGiulio, yeah?
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to accept the committee report and recommend the adoption of the water rate amendments as set forth in the specified code of ordinance, section 48-70 through 48-77 as submitted, and ask that the finance director please provide a status report back to the council in approximately 90 days.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Councilman Visconti. Now we'll entertain discussion regarding the water rates.
Do I have the floor?
You got it, Mr. Shinisi.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is to David St. Hilaire.
Mr. St. Hilaire.
Yes.
It was mentioned in the report that the revenue will drop significantly by $500,000. Is the 3% increase designed to cover the full 500,000 or just a portion of it?
No, but thank you for bringing that up. Not at all. It's really an effort to mitigate it. And keep in mind, the 3% increase amounts to just over $6 per year for a single home, a single family home for a resident. So I think really it's a minor amount, but we're trying to help offset the loss that we're, from the usage that's happening here. And that's been a trend going on. Keep in mind, everybody's, getting the low flow, toilets, the low flow faucets, the low flow shower heads. It's all having an impact on the overall operation. And combine that with the impact of COVID and I think what we really saw during this is when you take out the commercial operation out of the whole equation, that really shows. And it's not that the residents are going to pay for that. That's not the point. The point is overall we're trending down. I mean, and it really shows. And so, where the folks that are going to get hit, or the class that's going to get hit the most are going to be the businesses. They're the ones that will incur the lion's share of this increase. But at the end of the day, it's on both water and sewer. On sewer, it's a little bit more. It's probably $6.50 to $7. On water, it's about $6 per year. So, overall, it's $1 if you have both water and sewer per month, and for a single family home. So, I just wanted to put it in perspective. It's no way meant to try to cover any loss by what's happening on the commercial side.
Just to follow up, Your Honor.
Sure.
So how does the remaining loss be addressed? Is that going to come out of the water fund balance?
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's the fund is healthy, and it's just it's an unfortunate thing, but we don't feel it's and to the person who made the comment or sent in a comment at the beginning of the meeting, we don't want to pass this on to everyone else. The fund is healthy enough to take that on. But I think it would be, it would not be a prudent thing to take it all on. So I think we have to recognize that in the natural trend of things, we have to kind of eke up a little bit. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Further discussion related to the water rates? Seeing none, then I will try your minds. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or putting a thumb up.
Aye.
Okay, any opposition? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Item 15, please.
Sewer rates, Code of Ordinances, Section 48-234.
Okay, Mr. Cabo?
Your Honor, at this time, I move that we waive the reading of the report as all members have copies, and copies are available for review in the office of the legislative assistant.
Second. Motion made and seconded by Mr. Visconti. This is just to waive the reading of the report. So all in favor of waiving the reading of the report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the report has been waived, and we're down to the main motion. And I'll recognize Councilman Priola.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would move that we accept the committee report and recommend the adoption of the sewer rate amendments as set forth in the Code of Ordinances, Section 48-234, as submitted, and request the Finance Director to provide a status report in approximately 90 days.
Second. Motion made and seconded by Councilwoman Stanley. Is there discussion related to sewer and water rates? Discussion about the sewer rates. Mr. Shinisi, you're... No, okay. All right, seeing none then, I will try your minds. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 16. Yep, Joe's muted.
Public input was held for the following ordinance: government entities, section 2-259 via email. The period to comment was open from May 12th, 2020 to May 23rd, 2020. There were no comments submitted for this item. The item and public input instructions were made available on May 12th, 2020 on the City of Danbury City Council webpage and in the News Times, both in print and online.
Thank you, Mr. Cavo. Mr. Levy.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to receive the committee report, adopt the recommendations to reauthorize the following entities: Flood and Erosion Control Board, 3 years; Cherry Wild Park Authority, 5 years; Youth Commission, 3 years; Danbury Parks and Recreation Commission, 5 years, and the Aviation Commission for 5 years.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Levy, seconded by, I think that was Mr. Shianisi. Discussion as it relates to this item. Discussion. Seeing none, then I'm going to try your minds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Or the thumb. All opposed? Okay, ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. President, department reports.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I make a motion to waive the reading of the departmental reports as all members have copies, and copies are on file are on review on file in the office of the legislative assistant.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Councilman Perkins. Any discussion on the department reports? Mr. Taversek, you want to start with Kara?
Yes, I will, thanks.
Okay.
Okay, okay, Kara, I was wondering how many people do we still have at the motel of the homeless population?
Our current census is 60 individuals.
Okay, I want to thank the department, by the way. I'm familiar with a few people who've been able to get apartments with the vouchers, I guess Section 8 vouchers. I was just wondering, I read in the paper that the shelter, when it opens up, the city shelter, will probably just be able to hold about 10 people because of the social distancing. And the only other one I know about is Dorothy Day, and they haven't been able to figure out something because of the configuration of the building. You know, if you're familiar with it. But I was wondering, it looks like the city's trying to push the vouchers. Am I right on this?
Yeah, so we are doing a push right now. We're part of a campaign with all of Fairfield County. That's the Hotel to Homes campaign. And it's to increase, our goal is to house 1,000 people throughout the county. And right now we've currently housed 8 from the hotel. So we're really working hard to do that and meet the goals. But that's our big push. We want to get people into housing because we don't want to return people to the shelter or the street.
Okay, I was just wondering, is there a list of like landlords and all who would have showed that they would be willing to take the Section 8 people? Because that seems to be one of the big problems. People might have a voucher, but then it becomes very difficult to get somebody to accept the voucher on the landlord side of it.
Yeah, we currently have 2 case managers who are taking people out to see apartments. They're working with landlords. We're also working with the housing authority and several of our other community partners to try and assist to get people quickly into apartments. And some of that is mitigating the issues with landlords and so that way they will accept them.
Okay, I would just like to thank you. I think the department's now working in the right direction for this, because I think we all would like to see people not have to be on the streets. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dabrasek. Further questions on department reports? Mr. Shinisi? Unmute yourself, Mr. Shinisi.
Got it. All right. My question is to Antonio regarding the pavement. Now that the bonding, I assume, passed since it's past 30 days, so the money should be available. When is the paving going to start?
Mr. Iadarola.
Mr. Trinisi, we've been paving all along. I'm sorry you haven't seen us. But Caring Drive and a number of other roads that were prepped and ready to pave, we jumped on getting a hold of our paving contractor early to do the first wave. And we're working on the second wave, which includes installing drainage, which will then be followed by the actual paving. So we are well on our way. We thank you guys for getting us the money to do more paving. And we have an extensive paving program this year that we're delighted to kind of work through, and we'll keep you guys informed of going. We are tackling some roads that are very difficult and have been left by the wayside for a long time because they're difficult. That's like Grant Street. So we're going to work through those projects and get them done.
Thank you.
Further discussion on department reports?
Yes, Mayor.
Mr. Perkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, thanks for clarifying some of the information about the March at the beginning, at the outset of the meeting. I am familiar with the permit process, and I just wanted to ask 3 quick questions. What time frame will this cover? How many hours approximately?
It starts at noon, but the organization is somewhat amorphous. It's a moving target, but we've issued a permit for noon. We anticipate about 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours to make all the stops. So we're working towards de-escalating, not escalating situations. So we're not going to make, if it lasts till 4, it lasts till 4, but people will, at some point we're going to need to make sure the roads are open so people can move around. But that's generally the plan right now.
Insurance has been taken care of by the organizer?
Well, this is a First Amendment exercise of First Amendment, so I don't think we require insurance for that.
Okay.
But we did issue the permit under my direction.
And we would pick up the police, the city would?
We're handling the policing, again, as a First Amendment event.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess my next set of questions would be to Chief Ritenour.
Sure, Chief Ritenour.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Chief.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I've always commended you on the community policing. I'm just questioning right now, do you think that maybe a standing committee, some type of overview might be timely at this time so that when things do happen. We don't have to scramble to get a bunch of folks together. We can just send out a message and form up.
Not really sure what you mean. I mean, I've actually, since my time here, developed those relationships. So, you know, I have constant contact with so many members of the community who have been reaching out and informing me of what's going on and what they would like to do. So, but I do think that, you know, maybe in a more formal sense might be beneficial. I've been talking with the organizer of this protest, and I've already assured him that I would like to meet with him and the groups later so that we can figure out some concrete steps, you know, kind of get an assessment of what we're doing, how we're doing, what can we do better, and what can we do together.
Sure. Well, that's kind of my thought. I'll talk to you more about this offline. You know, maybe put together a group of folks that are on the same pretty much email thread, and we can probably get a little correspondence quarterly or something to that effect.
Sure.
One last thing too, the mayor mentioned earlier about outsiders. You know, they've been termed agitators. Do we have a proactive plan in place to deal with that?
We do. You know, we're gonna hope for the best, and but we're gonna be prepared if needed. All the assurances we have from the organizers is that they just want voices heard and for this to be peaceful, and hopefully that's the way it's going to go.
Okay, appreciate it, Chief. Thanks again.
Yeah, if I could just add there too, the chief and I have a meeting with a group of local pastors and faith-based leaders on the 26th, I think. And I think part of that, Council Perkins will be addressing some of the things that you and I have talked about as it relates to having that communication, be able to go through a loop so that everybody's in the loop and knows exactly, you know, what's going on. This event came at a little bit of a, I don't think a surprise, I guess not a surprise, but definitely is a little bit more organic. Normally, if it's ARC or an organization like that, they'll come in, we'll lay it all out and plan it. So both the chief and I had to do a little bit of scrambling to find out who's actually organizing this, what are their contact information, how do we get a hold of them, so that, you know, we can help them exercise their First Amendment right and but do it in a way that's safe and secure for everybody. And so I want to commend the chief for getting that done. Also, Chief, crime down 35%. Nobody better than you.
Thank you. Nobody better than our personnel. So.
You got it. Further discussions on department reports.
Can I ask one more question, Your Honor?
Sure.
Just on the protest tomorrow, what time will the streets actually be closed? I know you said 12 o'clock it starts, but
yeah,
I'm sure they're gonna be closed beforehand.
Yep. Chief, you wanna?
Probably not much before 12 o'clock, you know, because it's, you know, it's not like it's a parade or anything where, you know, it's going to be a fluid thing. So we'll probably no more than 15 minutes prior.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we did do a robocall. I'll call Mr. Chinisi to, you know, the whole geographic area so people know that it's happening. Any other questions for department reports? No. Well, I think that's a very good segue. First of all, let's vote on accepting the reports. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. I think that's a very good segue to just spending a moment reflecting on what happened last week. The situation with George Floyd was, as I've said publicly, I'll say it here tonight, was nothing short of murder. It is something that we will certainly cannot tolerate as a nation. We cannot tolerate as a state, as a city. We don't tolerate that kind of activity here in Danbury. But nevertheless, it does uncover and bring up institutional problems that continue to require dialogue and discussion and eventually some concrete plans to move forward. And we are deeply cognizant of that. And obviously, we express our sincere condolences to the Floyd family of just a horrible situation. So in memory of George Floyd, I'd like to have a moment of silence here before we wrap up the meeting, because I think it's right and appropriate, not just for George Floyd, but for all of the individuals over the last several years that have gone through this very horrible experience, and their families and their loved ones. So if you would join me for a short moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, this time I'll extend all committees. I will get you a worksheet out about the return to work program that Paul and President Cabo can disseminate to the respective caucuses. And if you have comments, questions, we certainly would encourage them. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Made by Mr. Rotello, seconded by Mr. Salvatore. All in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Have a nice evening, everyone.
Ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. Quentin, you have a nice evening as well. And if you're here next month, you can lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Take care, folks. Have a good night.
Night.
Aye.